All right, welcome back to another episode of I Can't Believe That's News. I'm Float Universe. It's a special edition episode. Carrie's off for the week. I went on vacation, went to Florida, had all kinds of interesting things happen. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But today's episode is with Kara, the original host of I Can't Believe That's News. I wanted to post this Instagram live we did on her stream the other day, and she posted it after we did the stream, and then I reposted it. But then I woke up this morning and it disappeared. She had deleted it. Now, luckily for you and me, I save everything. In fact, the post, when I reposted it this morning, which I've since taken down, I'll repost this later with the intro and the backstory. But I said one thing I've learned over the years is to save everything, download and take screenshots, because people delete things or get taken down, never to be seen again. And compiling my float documentary recently, which is I'm working on right now, a nice long float documentary of my 2 years at the float center and all the hijinks. And there's a story, there's an actual story there. But anyway, some of these things are never to be seen again, right? I realized how many good Instagram lives from the float center were lost forever, either from not thinking they'd be worth saving, or there was a time where I was banned for 3 months and I couldn't get in, and things, when I came back, things were gone, lost, deleted. I don't know what happened. Copyright strike. Sometimes I'm doing videos and there's music playing in the background and Instagram kicks me off, and I, for whatever reason, they don't save it and it's gone forever. Um, or I've lost entire hard drives. That's a real heartbreaker. So I recommend you back things up at least 3 times on 3 different drives, because I can't tell you how many good stuff I've lost on hard drives just failing. They just die after a certain point. You drop them, they get wet, whatever, they die. It's not true what they say about the internet, that once you post something, it's out there forever. That's a myth. A lot of stuff are actually gone forever. And I wish it was true, but sadly, so much content is lost, deleted, or suppressed. Glad I immediately went to an online Instagram live downloader, which I only discovered a few days before, because like I said, I'm doing this float documentary, and I'm going through all the float accounts, all my hard drives, and some of these Instagram lives I posted on the actual account, and I can't download them the traditional way. So they do make websites where you can go and download yours or anybody else's live streams. So I only knew about this a few days prior. Um, I knew you could download other things on Instagram, but I didn't know that the whole lives and stuff could be downloaded. So luckily, I said, you know what? In keeping with my tradition of screenshotting and saving things immediately, especially with me and them, a lot of times I'll do a live stream and I'll try to get another phone open and then hit record on that phone. Because if you record on the phone you're doing the live on, it doesn't save the audio. It's weird. And another thing about Instagram lives is you'll get comments during the live stream, but when you actually save the photo or the file, they're not there. So the best way is to actually record the live stream simultaneously on another phone, which can be hard to do and also annoying. You got this other phone next to you going off. And anyway, so I saved it. Luckily, I as soon as she reposted this conversation, which I'm glad she did, I saved it. And there's got to be something about this conversation she didn't like. She didn't, and again, much love to Kara. I'm just having fun with this. I'm not trying to instigate or hate. I just think it's interesting that people put themselves out and then not want it to be seen ever again. I have no shame in what I say. I will either try to admit if I have said something wrong, which I rarely do, or I'm not. There's no shame, no guilt with me. I don't care. Um, if it's out there, it's out there. I try not to delete things. I try to keep it pretty naked and honest here. I think that's part of the fun, is to be honest. And I'm not saying she's being dishonest. All I know is there's something about this stream she didn't like, because she let it up for a few hours, and it may have been the comments, it may have been something she saw in herself or me that she didn't want to promote, which is fine. But again, I'm all about disclosure, honesty, truthfulness, getting to the point. That's the way to get to the truth, right? Just be blunt and honest, and we'll figure it out. And let's have these debates. But anyway, like I said here in the post, I save immediately, and I back it up. It's become second nature at this point. So I'm so glad I did this. I don't know if there's anything to learn from this stream. It's kind of the same stuff we always talk about. Maybe you'll get something from it, maybe not. Maybe it's just something to play in the background. But it was Instagram Live. That's why the audio is a little different. And was it worth saving? I say here, only you can be the judge. So anyway, enjoy this special edition of I Can't Believe That's News. Another Kara and Float debate. Hope you enjoy it. As always, you are enlightened.
Happy Saturday morning. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to come on here and talk about Christian Karen. Christian Karen is something that I was called last year when I think I had kind of turned into a sort of Christian Karen myself. Somebody had DM'd me and they said, "You're acting like Christian Karen." And I laughed at it. I thought it was kind of funny because I like to make a joke that my name, Kara, like that I just dodged the bullet from Karen by a couple letters. And Karens were such a funny concept even in 2020, right? Everybody knew the Karens. Hey, Jen. So when I was called Christian Karen by somebody, they definitely did it, I think, as an insult. But I laughed at it. I thought it was funny because it made sense to me. Because, sorry, I gotta adjust here. I gotta get comfortable. Hello, everybody. Hi. Good morning. I haven't done a Saturday morning live. I guess it's Saturday afternoon in a long time. And I feel like this is a popular time to come on here and chat. So, hi. I'm talking about Christian Karen. If you're just hopping on right now, I was called Christian Karen last year. If you don't know, I don't know. Maybe you don't know my page very well. Maybe you've been following me for a while. I became a follower of Jesus in 2021. And then in 2022, I kind of came out more publicly online talking about it. And hey, Float, I'm talking about when I was Christian Karen last year. And Float is the perfect person to come on here because, Float, if you want to come on this live, send me a request right now. Because Flo knew me before I was Christian Karen, and then when I became Christian Karen, and then when I came out of that it was just Kara again. I'm still a Christian because I'm a follower of Jesus, and I believe Jesus is God, and that is the way to the Father, but I feel very differently about Christianity now, a year later. I've learned a lot, and really what kept me away from Christianity more than anything in the beginning was that I thought that it was super culty, super judgmental, not very welcoming. I didn't feel part of that. Oh my gosh, Float's coming in. Float. Come in, Float. Like, reeling you in, buddy. I hope it's working. But, like basically what I'm trying to get at, long story short. Hey!
How are you?
Oh God, this is so exciting. I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. Just
That's
popping
good.
in.
What'd you say? You're just what?
Just popping in.
Just popping in. Where are you? Are you traveling?
Not today. I'm
No.
in my bunker.
Yeah. Oh, okay, nice. I wish I had a bunker. Like literally, I want a house on stilts in the jungle where I can like have people over and have parties and have a good time. And then I want a bunker cave underground that I can go into, lock the door, and like not see anybody.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah. Hey, is anybody coming on right now? Is like, why are Float and Kara talking? Well, Float and I are friends. We're good friends. Yeah? Good friends?
Well, yeah, you were talking about
Christian Karen.
being too and it happens, polarizing to a side, to a you don't leave the door open for too much, but it was fine with me. I've seen it happen 100 times. People come back and encounter things on psychedelics and find Jesus and come back to center eventually. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it. I always enjoy conflict, so for me it was fun.
You like conflict? Is that what you said?
I like feuds when people I know are feuding or having conflict. I'm like, they're just like me, like we all have, as much as we want to be perfect and loving, we all have that dark side.
Yeah, we definitely all have that dark side. And do you like watch a lot of like those TV shows like where they would like bring people on and they'd like fight with each other, like you're my baby daddy, like you are like
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Jerry Springer. That right? You could have hosted something like that.
Maybe I still will.
Yeah, you could. But yeah,
We got agree to disagree URL.
that's right. Flo and I have thrown around a lot of projects together, and we used to co-host I Can't Believe That's News when it first started in 2021, right as I started becoming Christian Kara Christian Karen, and that is when I actually told you that I didn't want to do the show with you anymore because we just Christian Karen couldn't do it. She couldn't co-host with someone who said you are enlightened all the time. And you said to me, you were so kind. You're like, yeah, I've seen a lot of people do this where they like Jesus finds them, they're saved, they become Christian, and they just like boom, to one edge. And you're like, you'll come back around. And I was like, yeah. And then like 6 months later, I was like, yeah, dude, you're right. I'm coming back around. And I like came on here and tried to apologize for people because I became super judgmental all of a sudden. And the kind of judgment that you see in Christianity a lot, I think actually is gatekeeping people from Jesus, because Jesus is Jesus. Christianity is like religion and they're separate, right? But Christianity seemed to like, because I gave my testimony publicly, I guess, like I started having people messaging me all the time, like, you should change this in your life. And oh my gosh, you have a one eye on that shirt. Are you in the Illuminati? Oh, she's lighting incense. Is she back in the new age? Like, you know what I mean? Like I was being judged. And I had people literally, dude, I had people messaging me. This is how hardcore these churchianity people can be. They were like, you should stop collaborating with Flo. Like he's way too like new age and all this stuff. And it's like, why should we cut all these people out of our life? Like, I don't understand. But
I
I
mean,
started
no,
feeling,
I agree with cutting people out of your life 100%. If they're
well,
taking you off your path, then sure, fuck them. I'm not gonna look look what I still got.
oh my God, you just pulled that out. Oh my God, this is so funny.
You sent me this.
Yeah.
It's a spell kit with candles. Hold on, I'm gonna put the.
Okay, so before I started believing in Jesus and I was saved, I was like super in the occult, and I actually sold spell kits. Was it in 2021? It was like probably
It was 2021.
2021, probably fall 2021. And I made spell kits
She
and
sent me crystals
yep,
and a
yep,
Buddha.
yep. You love to bring this spell kit up. I'm glad you actually pulled it out because we were going to talk about it a while ago.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
never threw it away. I don't. It's
Oh
a
yeah,
cool
little
gift.
fairies.
It looks cool, even if I don't believe in any of these things at all. Which I mean, I'm still out to lunch on a lot of these things. I think ultimately all this stuff is placebo effect, right? If
Yeah,
you tell yourself at a strong enough level it's true and you can believe it, it will actually happen.
yeah,
To a degree, obviously. It's like also kind of like a monkey's paw, where be careful what you wish for, because you might get something, but it'll be a little trickery there. But yeah,
yeah.
I still have this, and I still have the Donald Trump over there.
Oh yeah, I have. Oh, wait, let me hold on. I'll grab my Donald Trump. So, float like part of my awakening in 2020 was like realizing that Donald Trump. I mean, I think he's totally a player on the stage, like everybody, but I hated him more than anybody in this world. In 2020, I was like a hardcore liberal. Before I woke up, I was like medicated on pharmaceuticals. I cried and like mourned when Trump was voted in office in 2016. I literally was sad for a while and like unfriended. Talk about removing people from your life. I unfriended people who liked Donald Trump. I wouldn't like, I asked someone to leave my house once because they were talking too much about Donald Trump. And that person was talking about the Mandela effect too. And now that I like know what that is, I'm like, okay, interesting. But yeah, like starting to like do a loving kindness meditation to Donald in 2020 led to my awakening. And because I hated him more than anyone, I was like, I shouldn't hate this person so much. And anyways, I've said the story before, but you had one of these. I saw yours. So I found one, and that was probably, was that while we were doing I Can't Believe That's News?
It was right at the beginning, yeah, right.
Yeah. Talk about it.
2021, beginning of 2021.
Yeah. So yeah, we met on a live like this.
Yeah, you were doing psychedelics, not necessarily that time, but you had had your mind blown, and you and Quantum Cassie were being super cool.
Yeah. What happened to Quantum Cassie?
She went the same route you did, except she stuck to it. She said, I ain't looking back on any of these freaks.
Well, I mean, the thing, I go to church every week. I go to Austin Ridge Bible Church. I love it. I totally believe in Jesus with all my heart. I like follow him like with everything. I lean not in my own understanding. Like I mess things up. I haven't swayed on how I feel about Jesus at all. I was a total non-believer of Jesus before, but I actually haven't done psychedelics in 3 years, dude. Can you believe that? Like,
Do you still smoke weed?
time to time. I'm
Well,
not gonna lie.
then you still do psychedelics.
Okay, well then
Well, a
what?
lot of
I
people
mean,
believe that a lot of people believe that those open up gateways, which I do spiritually, high or low. Most of the time, the people that smoke weed that are at that level are low, and so yeah, it can be an open door for all kinds of things. And so it's just because you do it every day and it doesn't have the same effect that it would if you did it once a year, once every 6 months. Those doorways are still being open. You're just not as aware of them. I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm just saying from my experience and from many other accounts that psychedelics is a classic, or weed is a classic psychedelic, and B, like Terrence McKenna himself was like, you should do it once a month, once a
yeah.
week at the most.
I don't trust Terrence McKenna like totally. He's like involved with the human potential movement and all that.
Maybe, maybe not.
But he's still, you know what though? That was a Christian Kara comment. And now like our Christian Karen comment. Actually, like I don't think we should just like everybody has something good to offer, and like I mean, just because Terrence McKenna might have been part of the human potential movement, or Ron Ross, Joe Rogan, all these people that are pushing psychedelics, they might not realize that they're like in a network or pushing an agenda, or that, but you know what I mean? They because I was on here like making spell kits, promoting psychedelics, all these things that I don't promote anymore. And then I'm actually like warning people, like I don't recommend you go do psychedelics. Don't use a spell kit. You probably, but I don't also want to tell people what to do, because I want to say this.
Yeah,
I
but when
have been
psychedelics, but
wait, hold
psychedelics,
on.
okay.
Oh my God, I just banged my elbow. Let me talk. In 2020, I stopped drinking alcohol just naturally, just because I'm not really a huge drinker. And then when I was, after like, I connected with, I did my Not So Secret Societies podcast with that co-host who basically like gave me an ultimatum. You need to quit smoking weed, and you need to give your testimony and come clean to everybody, because basically I don't think she wanted to be associated with me because I was too new age or too in the occult. So that's why I gave my testimony on Not So Secret Societies, and I quit smoking weed because I wanted to keep that show going. And I've been smoking weed since I was like 17 is when I first started smoking weed. And I like loved it. And once I got into my 20s, I was doing it daily. Like I had no intentions of stopping. I didn't stop for decades. And I was like, you know what? I was like this, I should quit smoking weed. I should see if I can do it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in like following Christ now. Like I wanted my life to be different. I'm like hearing from everybody, I need to be as sinless as possible. This looks like a sin. I shouldn't do this. So I was sober from alcohol for 2 years and sober from weed for almost a year. So I was like completely straight edge. And honestly, I got to say, like, I was sort of on here like bragging, like, oh, like now I'm not smoking weed, and Jesus has delivered me from that, and da 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 da. But honestly, like, I think God made it easier on me. But eventually, like, I started kind of breaking down and feeling like I was changing who I was, changing like what I said, like not collaborating with people like you anymore, ending projects, like becoming something else. Yeah, I was literally like, I feel like a new grooming had hit me, and I started honestly kind of hating myself by fall 2022. And I decided, like, I've been talking to some of my friends who are Christians, who were a little different Christians. They weren't as like hardcore judgy, hardcore, like telling me what to do. It was more gentle. And we talked a lot about sober-minded and vigilant. And I realized that I almost felt like I was being sinful by being completely sober, because God says, eat, drink, and be merry. God says, be sober-minded and vigilant. So Thanksgiving last year, I'm just coming totally clean on this. I had a glass of wine, and it had been 2 years, and I did it because God says eat, drink, and be merry. And I was being so straight edge. I didn't want to be around anybody who drank. I was starting to like push my beliefs on everybody around me. And then the next day, I decided to smoke a joint. I wanted to see how I felt. It had been almost a year, and I hit the joint. And honestly, like, maybe it was my tolerance, maybe it's me, but I've always been feel like I've been sober-minded and on weed. Like, not, totally. Everything's going to affect you. A cup of coffee is going to affect you. A lack of sleep is going to affect you. We're using a black mirror right now on our phones. That's an occult tool. We're opening ourselves up to the spirit world like all the time. So I was like, why is this one sin so bad? Why is this one thing so bad? Also, I saw Christians like coming hardcore on anyone who's gay. Like, oh, demon month is here and homosexuals are it's like, why is that sin so bad? Like I have people in my life who are gay and they're like the nicest people in the world. They're like, we're supposed to love our neighbor. We're supposed to love each other. Like, love is kind. Love is patient. Love doesn't keep track. Love lets things go. And I just didn't feel like, I just felt like everything was pushing down on me. And I was like, we can't be sinless. We can actually just do the best we can. And in the process, God's going to refine us. And so, I don't know. Yeah, there you go, everybody.
Well, I'll play devil's advocate for you here.
Oh, of course you will.
To sin, first of all, you have to define it, right? We all have to have an agreed upon definition of what sin is, that argument, if you're sinning or not, right? So that's pretty subjective. I mean, we could argue that maybe the Ten Commandments are a good objective thing we can all agree upon. But, one of my arguments is sin literally means, to me, be without God. So maybe weed can bring you closer to God. I'm not saying it can't. I know it can, but I also know it can open up all kinds of other pathways. And again, I'm not condemning anybody, judging anything. I'm just saying, to say it's not a psychedelic is I don't believe to be true, because let's say you never touched weed and you had a huge dose of edibles, or you smoked a whole joint and you've never done that before, that would definitely be psychedelic. You got to agree there, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely, yeah. But what does psychedelic really mean?
Well, it's mind manifesting.
I believe it actually is a psychedelic, psyche, sensitivities, delic, something that amplifies it. I really believe that psychedelics just amplify your sensitivities. So naturally, a sensitive person, a highly sensitive person, might live their normal life like somebody who's not very sensitive when they do a little psychedelics. That might bring them to the same level. So I just think a psychedelic is an enhancer of your sensitivities. I think the spirit world exists in energy and it can be affect us through our sensitivities by placing a thought in our head that creates us to have an emotion come out. That's what I actually think. This is just about our sensitivities and what we open ourselves up to.
To come from the Christian angle, maybe even a classical American Western, past 150 years of Christianity tradition of the devil's weed, and for the longest time, and it's still, they're not saying smoke weed in church, at least the church that I know, so where do you as a Christian say, okay, well, you know what I mean? Like, how do you get away from that traditional Christian approach? I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just, again, playing devil's advocate here of, hey, a lot of the Christians, most Christians would say that A, that is a drug, B, it's probably harmful to you, and it probably leads you astray. Like, where it does get the name, it's not called the Jesus weed or the angel's weed. Why do they call it the devil's weed? And again, I'm not shitting on it. I'm just saying, like, as a Christian and dealing with Christians, that's what I think a classical Christian still believes to a degree, that the weed is not good for you, period.
So this is awesome what we're saying here, because I'm talking about how I became Christian, Karen, and there's something that I learned as a new follower of Jesus, that Christianity is a religion. And it is a ton of denominations, and all of them have different beliefs on everything, and they all think they're right. And I fell into a deceiving form of Christianity as a new Christian, a charismatic belief that is literally tons of extra biblical false teachings. Might as well be called conspiracy Christianity. And am I echoing on the phone?
No.
Can you hear me? Okay. And after I realized I had been misled, I had a crisis of faith at that fall 2022, 6 months after we ended I Can't Believe It's News, basically kind of about a year after being a new follower of Christ. I knew nothing about Christianity, guys. I didn't even know Catholicism was Christianity. I didn't know anything about it. I'd never gone to church, never read the Bible. I just had a crazy Holy Spirit, miraculous moment with Jesus where he found me, saved me, changed my heart, and I became a believer after being a non completely. Got deceived by Christianity, and then fall 2022, I was having a crisis of faith. And my crisis of faith was not with Jesus. I never strayed from Jesus. I continued to always believe Jesus is God in the flesh. He died for us. That is the way to the Father. I totally got that, never phased. But I had huge issues with Christianity because of kind of all the stuff I was saying about needing to be sinless, needing to be a perfect way. Everybody judging me, and just realizing that Christianity is a religion. We are saved through knowing who Jesus is. We are saved by knowing that that was God, not by being a Christian and being in a Christian church and following all the rules perfectly. Like, think of the thief on the cross. The thief on the cross, Jesus said, I will see you today in paradise. The thief on the cross became a believer in Jesus like 15 minutes probably before he died. You know, he didn't have time to be delivered or exercised. He didn't have time to be baptized. He didn't have time to confess all his sins. He didn't have time to be completely refined to become perfect. He knew who Jesus was, and that was it. So you get what I'm saying? Like, I just think like Christianity, like, of course I'm a Christian because I follow Jesus. Like, that I'm proud to say that. But there's like 40,000 denominations in Christianity. They all believe different things, and there's only supposed to be one truth, not 40,000. So there's a lot of people out there that have beliefs that are non-salvation, that are different, and I don't think we should be pushing those onto other people. Oh my God. Are you smoking weed?
No, it's Paula's
song.
Oh,
Get off this live. I used to come on lives and smoke weed. Like,
away from me, Satan.
But you're calling him in if you're right, because you're practicing.
I'm not worried about
right
it
now by lighting that.
We are all one. I am all that is. You are all that is. So there is no Satan upon your creation in my perspective of reality. So in my reality, you're sharing with me currently, there is no man coming to get you. But
well, you don't believe in Satan at all as a being?
No, more of an energy.
Okay. Well, I think that what I believe or understand is he was an angel, right?
He might look
angels.
Like that. I know.
What?
He might look like
that. He might. That would be an energy. That would be an energy. But he's, you know, I don't believe. I mean, the egregore of Satan with the horns that we like the Sam Smith look, and like the Satanic Panic that we're seeing recreated right now. The devil, you know, with the red cape, that was created by Pope Gregory like hundreds of years ago. Like, he literally created that egregore. And people, I think, assume, like, people that don't totally understand, that Satan is, what is he considered, the great agitator? Or I can't remember. Like, he basically, like, is it like, I believe it's like an energy, like you say too, that like he can enter people. It's like the Antichrist spirit, you know. But this concept of like the devil with the red horns and all that, like we see in popular culture, was part of the, like, it was placed, and it's an egregore, which is an occult tool to create like an entity to worship or to give energy from a non-physical being. And you know, so I think you've got a lot of truth to what you're saying.
Sure.
The accuser. Thank you, Niles. Yeah, Satan's the accuser. I mean, Satan's very real. I mean, I believe.
So let me ask you this. If you fill your house constantly with smoke and it's never clear, do you think you're seeing reality as it should be?
Yeah, because I think reality is whatever you're experiencing in that moment.
Well, there's a truth to that, but maybe there's a clarity to it, though, that smoking weed all the time, and I'm not judging or condemning because I love it. But
you don't smoke anymore, right?
No. And it's been a profound shift stopping, and I smoked every day, close to an eighth a day, and you know, I'd love to go back and keep doing it, but I just kind of ran out of energy for it. It does take energy to use too. I don't know if you believe in that, but
oh yeah, no, I felt actually like after 3 days of quitting weed, I was like, I've never had any problems stopping before. I just never wanted to, because I was like, I like doing this, like I don't really think it's that big of a deal. But I felt like really clear-headed, and I felt very productive that year, and I didn't miss it really that much. It's just that, like I said, I'm not a big drinker, and everybody's like going and having their glass of wine to relax and eat and drink and be merry, and I was like, why can't I have, you know, maybe a little bit of weed here and there? But I will say that I noticed that I used to idol worship weed. I really believe that I put weed before God. Like because I was on medicated for 10 years, longer than that, but hardcore medicated for like a decade. And when I got anxiety, I would take a Klonopin. I would just take a benzo. Like I would just zone out. And then I became a believer in Jesus and had this new relationship with God, where I felt you're supposed to cast your anxieties onto him. You're supposed to pray to God. He's the one who's going to deliver you from something and help you with everything, because he's with you all the time. And so I believe he wanted me to quit smoking weed, to realize that I had been putting it first. Like, I got off the anxiety pills, But then when I would have anxiety after that, I would just go smoke weed to curb that. And so removing it from my life really showed me that I needed to put God first in everything. You get what I'm saying? Like, rather than just like zone out on the weed and expect that to fix things for me. So idol worship can be anything, I believe, that you put before God.
Sure, that's 100%. I think what it is. I'm just saying, like, as a holding yourself there as a Christian, it's usually weed. Smoking weed is, I don't think, synonymous with that yet, and so it just, I think it creates a cognitive dissonance in people when they, especially people coming from that ultra right, ultra conservative, no drugs, not even caffeine, extreme levels of conservatism. And again, I'm all for it. I think it's a psychedelic, and I say use it responsibly. But it can, like anything else, become addictive and a trap to higher realizations, greater truths. Maybe you have it all figured out. I don't think I do. But
None of us do, yeah.
that's just, like for somebody who likes to really study society and people and the way people judge things and form groups and collectives and polarize in different directions. It just, it creates a lot of cognitive dissonance, I think, in people when you hold yourself out as a Christian, because I don't do that. I believe in Christ and all these other things, but I don't say, hey, I'm a Christian, because first of all, the definition is not agreed upon. Like, what does that mean? Is it Catholic? Is it Mormon? Is it, you know what I mean? Is it?
Yeah, I get it now. I get it. It took me a little time, but I totally get it.
So that's all.
Yeah.
I don't care what people do or believe. It's just, that's why, for at least, I think a lot of your audience sometimes has cognitive dissonance with
My audience?
not my audience, because my audience knows I'm going to throw them a curveball every other day on purpose just to troll them, So
No, I love that about you, and I love how blunt you are, and I'm actually happy that you're on this live with me, because some people have asked me, like, do you ever smoke? Like, are you still completely off weed? And I didn't want to answer that question for a long time, though I did sound January last year when you interviewed me. I did tell people, I was honest, because I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's my private business, honestly, but I do have a public platform. So I put myself out there, but I didn't want my smoking again to be a stumbling block for anybody. Like, it's between me and God, it's like my thing with him. And we shouldn't be judging what we do based on what other people say. We should be praying to God and going directly to him and asking him and he will ask and thou shalt receive, seek and you shall find. God pours out wisdom generously to those who ask. And that's very true. So coming to man is a problem. Man's going to let you down every time. We all fall short of the glory of God. We don't have it figured out. Sorry, we're not God in the flesh. Like, I'm not. I don't know how I got here. I don't know how I'm moving my arm. That's what I believe. And, but like, the church is man. And so the church is going to fall short of the glory of God. So don't that was a problem too. Like, I was like, I don't know. I want to go to church, but I don't want to be part of any of these churches. But we're not going to find a perfect church. There's going to be some problems in everything. There's going to be some problems with everything people tell us. And that's why I just think we should always not lean on our own understanding, but allow God to come in, to trust in him with all of our heart, and he will clear our paths.
Sure. I
like your hair right now.
Thanks. I just like hearing people justify their drug use. That's all. And it's not, again, a judgment. It's just one way or the other. I'm getting entertainment value out of hearing you.
But dude, like, you're judging me, like, right now incorrectly. Like, me, I'm not justifying my drug use, and I don't even I actually think that tell me what you're doing that, like, you're doing things too. Like, I'm
not doing anything better than anybody. I'm just saying when people put themselves out there, people expect a certain standard. That's all. And I'm not saying that you have a defined standard with your brand. I'm just saying, I like hearing people. I like hearing arguments. I like people's thought process and how they justify whatever it is, whether it's running 20 miles a day and eating vegan food, drinking their own piss, what they believe in terms of what God is, the nature of reality, Jesus. How do I get saved? I mean, these are heavy, interesting questions that I like to hear people's thought processes on. And I know, and I also, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on where you're facing me, or if you're just watching, I like to hit pressure points.
I know you do. I know you hit pressure points.
And sometimes it's not on purpose. Sometimes it just kind of like we just fall into this chasm of Jesus or weed or something else. But usually it's one of those two things. And so I'm okay to do the electromagnetic dance back and forth, and I'm amused by it at this point. Not that I'm free of it, but it's just interesting to hear your perspective on all these things, Jesus and
Thank
drug
you.
use and, your journey. That's all.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really think that like I'm uncomfortable, to be honest, like having mentioned that, yeah, like I do smoke weed time to time. But because I want to, like, I think we need to be really honest with each other, because there's a lot of people online that are fake, and they're lying to people, and they're making themselves look a certain way, and they're putting that standard on other people, but they're not even living up to it. And the truth is, it's like, it's a process. Like we're all doing the best we can, but like the truth is we stumble and we fall, and like you might not have that removed from your life instantly. Like you can't like just assume God's just going to work a miracle to deliver you from something, or have some demon cast out of you, or whatever quick fix, like fake process somebody wants. You just have to like do the best you can and keep coming back to God. And like I'm happy that I'm
That's why
on here.
I'm poking you, because you basically said it about 3 or 4 times that you're not comfortable sometimes, freely, casually mentioning you're still smoking weed with people. And so it's like, you're not totally free if you have to wear different masks for different people, you know?
Yeah. No, you're totally right. And I thank you. Like when I came online, I didn't have Instagram like publicly before 2020. And when I came online, like I was like, I just gotten off of pills, and I just woke up to like the corruption, like the, mind programming in this world. And I was coming on lives and just sharing, like totally being myself, like uninhibited. Like I didn't have a very big following then, so I didn't feel as much pressure that so many people were watching me. But that's what I think people loved about. I'd always hear, "Oh, yeah, I love how raw you are and honest," and I just started falling away from that when I was Christian Karen, because I fell once again into another mold of what I needed to be. And everyone's like, "You got to let your old self die off completely," and it's like, wait, does that include my personality too? Like, can I make the same jokes I used to? Like, I was even like saying like, "You can't swear at all," and it's just like I just literally started hating myself, and I didn't feel like myself. And who I am is someone who wants to have a conversation with someone where you can touch my trigger button, and you can ask me something that makes me uncomfortable, and let me come on here and I'll be honest. And like, maybe that's going to help somebody else, just seeing that level of honesty. Because hello everybody, social media is really fake. Most of these people that you follow on here are literally just showing you what they want you to see, and they're not being honest with you. So do not think that you need to live your life up to the standards of what you're seeing other people share online.
Yeah, I'm just always just trying to keep it real. And where I don't know if you still believe this or if you ever believed it, but we are all reflections of each other, and a lot of times it's from our inner monologue, aka judgment. And so these people along your journey, whether it's psychedelics, weed, God, Jesus, a certain type of Christianity, they pop up, and they're only reflecting your own inner judgment about yourself. I
Yep.
believe. I'm not saying that's the
No,
case.
I'm with you. And like, that's something else I'm learning, is like, these, like, that would have, I might have, like, Christian Kara might have said that's a new age mindset. No, you're wrong.
Right.
But no, the new age is just a label that's been placed on stuff that's actually very real, concepts that are very real. For me, it's always missing the most important element, which is God, Jesus. So that's what makes it, 9 truths and a lie is a lie. But what you just said is a concept that I definitely like believe, and something that honestly I think psychedelics really like opened my eyes up to. And yeah, like, because it's like this, like, we are, like you said, the inner dialogue of our mind. This is the programming in our head that's running our thoughts and our patterns and what we've created through our life experiences. And now I look at you, and when you talk, I'm we're all self-centered narcissists. I'm thinking about myself as you're talking, or I'm decoding you or deciphering you through the knowledge I have in my head. So truly, you kind of, I get that like mirror, or me understanding you through myself, like that, right? That's what you mean?
Like, I mean, kind of. I'm trying to sit here and be empty. My head be clear, and just be a full-on listener, because that's what I've learned is really one of the keys to the nature of, or unlocking the nature of reality, is to sit still with no inner judgment, no monologue, especially one that's ready to jump on. I'm guilty of it, because, at a certain point it is a conversation. I do have to say something. But, a lot of times I'll just wait for whatever's next to pop into my head. But sometimes it can get heated. And, we want to, but it's back to the original thing. It's different layers. Greg Braden has this great video called the 7 Essene mirrors. In the ancient Essenes, basically broke it down into 7 different mirrors. And I don't know them off the top of my head anymore, but they're just mirrors of reflection. And one of them is how what we believe as God, as a Godhead, is how our is reflected in our parents. A lot of another mirror is the mirror of judgment, and sometimes it's an immediate pop up of somebody is really reflecting back to you in that moment, some kind of inner feeling or inner judgment you're having. Or it could be like you could experience a mirror of the things you've had taken from you, lost, or given away in other people. There's 7 different ones. Highly recommend people watch that video. It's 2 hours, but it's worth every minute of it. Again, it's Greg Braden, a 7 Essene, Essene mirrors. But anyway, it does come from Christian mysticism, I think, ultimately. But I think,
Like Orthodox?
what's that?
Orthodox Christianity?
No, like pre-church Christianity.
Okay, so like this is something, okay, I'm glad we're taking the conversation here because this is something that I've really been studying lately, and that's the history of the church. Like, how did we get to 40,000 denominations or whatever it is now, where everybody's fighting over beliefs and it's gotten kind of nasty or whatever? Because it had to go back to Jesus, because Jesus came, Pentecost happened, where he ascended, and then the Holy Spirit was brought down on, I think it was like 500 people, or it was 120 people in the upper room, and after that, like Jesus had told Peter, start the church on this rock. He had told him that, so Peter went and started the Catholic Church, which was the first church. Catholic means universal. So we had the first church, and then some time went on, and we got like 4 major denominations. And they were like Orthodox, Roman Catholic, Greek, East Asian, and I can't remember the 4th. And then over some time, passed, we had the Protestant Reformation with Martin Luther, and actually Martin Luther removed the Apocrypha and like the 8 books from the Bible. That's how we got to 66. I didn't know that. And then we had the Catholic Reformation after that, which the Catholic Church reformed things and started infiltrating the doctrinal academies where people would learn theology to be priests and stuff with futurism. And futurism is that tribulation hasn't happened and that like all these prophecies need to still be fulfilled. Daniel's 70th week hasn't happened and there could be a rapture, even though John Darby created the pre-tribulation rapture concept in 1830. So what I'm kind of getting at here is there's a lot of that, like thousands of years of distance where all these churches, like there's a history to it. And when you kind of go back further, the oldest and forms of the church that were closest to when Jesus was here, which would be the original message that should be shared, they were very mystical. They lit incense in the church. They pray. They don't pray to the saints. They pray for the saints to pray for them. Jesus is the only interceder. But I'm learning more. Like they believe also like I think it's a transubstantiation of the. Thank you. That like you take the communion and it's actually Jesus's body and blood. There's all these things, and it's fascinating to me, just the history of the church and how it's kind of evolved. But to me, like the most important thing is just Jesus has stayed strong through it all. Like Jesus, just knowing like you're saved for your grace, through grace and your faith, and knowing that Jesus is Lord and following Him, not by being in the right
Jesus never said that though.
What?
Jesus never said that.
Yes, he did. He said, follow me and I will lead you to pasture. He said, I am the Father. I am the way. No one gets to the Father but through me. There's tons of stuff that he says.
Yeah, but you know about the I am stuff and you are the I am. You know what I mean? Like
no, I actually do believe that God is an entity outside of me.
Well, that's where we agree to disagree.
And that's okay. Okay. We like anybody listening, like definitely Float and I have some I
think you're just as part of God as I am, and we're all connected. And I mean, I can't deny what I've seen through my own experience versus books that some other person has read or I'm sorry, written. You know what? My first rule in life is personal experience trumps anything I've read in a book. Now, if I get my personal experience to match things that multiple people have written in books, then I think I'm on the right path. And that's kind of where this whole, like, there is some truth to some of these new age concepts, as you would call them, which are actually just repurposed ancient East Asian, Indian, Buddhist stuff that's been repackaged and resold a different way. So, whatever it is, more power to you, because I don't think modern Christianity gives the average person enough water in their cup to go anywhere except in a circle.
But Jesus does. Jesus fills your cup all the way, and not more power to me, dude. I'm weak. And in my weakness, God's power can be made perfect.
Well, again, like if we get down to the nitty gritty and start defining things, I doubt we would disagree on much.
And I want to say this, yours, like, my personal experience trumps anything. Yeah, for real, dude. I have a personal experience when I read the Bible. It is not just the English words in the Bible that convict me. Those are translated from Hebrew and Greek. Those were translated from God giving these messages to man. We have the Holy Spirit. So when I read the Bible, my personal real life experience with the Holy Spirit, I am changed. It's a real amazing experience. So I agree with you. My personal experiences absolutely trump anything somebody just writes in a book.
Right, and a Muslim could tell you that he has the same experience with the Quran. So I just, again,
yeah, there's something about the Bible. The Quran's like basically based off the Bible anyway. Everything's all based off, even the stuff you're saying about like, oh, this mysticism in the West and all that. Dude, come on. God was there from the beginning. Everything comes from God.
It's all one. You were there in the beginning too. You just don't
No,
remember.
I wasn't. Oh, well, if God exists outside of time, then yeah.
Of course God exists outside time.
He does, yeah. No, I was just saying, I'm kind of like thinking of what you're saying. Yeah.
It's interesting to know that you've had the acid experience as much as you've had.
I haven't taken acid ever.
Ever? Okay, well that's why
no, I did DMT once, ayahuasca, and probably 1,000 mushroom trips.
Okay, well I will say this about acid, my favorite psychedelic. I'm in ayahuasca, so I can't speak to it.
Ayahuasca is horrible.
Well,
it's an exorcism. It's a demonic exorcism, and if you don't have the Holy Spirit, get ready for 7 spirits worse than before to fill you up.
And listen, I don't disagree with that. I warn people away from it, and I think there's a reason why I haven't done it. But I also have heard many, just to be, again, devil's advocate, plenty of stories from genuine people that are like, this stuff changed my life and helped me clean up my... You got no argument now. You're trying to throw me off with the comedy.
What comedy?
The Donald Trump
stuff that's stuff that you always would do to me when we'd podcast. You would like never have the video on when we record. And all of a sudden, he'd just flash it on, and he'd have like some scary mask on, and then I'd be like, "Oh my god!"
You never know what to expect.
No, not with you.
But
I didn't expect
anyway,
to come on this live.
I got to wrap it up because my girlfriend.
Yeah, I have a life too. So
oh no,
I gotta go.
I'd love to stay on for another 3 hours and debate this till I'm blue in the face.
Oh, I know. No, literally every single time I talk to you on the phone or we podcast or just a lot, we always talk about Jesus. We always come back to this. I love it. It's like an ongoing conversation about Jesus.
Maybe I'm the devil.
See my overalls.
Maybe I'm the devil tempting you.
The devil might have entered you. I don't know.
No. Well, I've got the Holy Spirit, honey. We're good.
He comes as an angel of light, so.
You are enlightened.
Love you, dude. Have a good day.
Love you too. You too.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Hi. That was fun. I didn't expect to have a chat like that, but I wanted to talk about Christian Karen, so that was probably a really good way to do that. Hello. Anybody have any questions? I probably will just end this live here in a second. I don't know. Should I save it? Should I put this up? I thought that was a really great conversation with Float. Float's a good friend of mine, and I appreciate talking to people who think differently, because I, for 38 years, didn't believe in Jesus, and I wouldn't have even had a conversation with someone about Jesus. So yeah, it's okay for us to disagree, but yeah, let's all pray. I'll save it, Float. Let's all pray for Float to know that Jesus is Lord, and that is the only way, and that God is the Trinity, the Holy Spirit, the Father, and Jesus Christ. But yeah, Float, I'm reading the comments here. Yeah, everybody pray for Float. All right, and I love you guys. Have a great day.